Look, SVP, reality is coming.
Okay.
There's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it.
Reality's coming. Diana Taurasi told Caitlin Clark before her WNBA debut. But what happened next? The rookie didn't just survive, she flipped the script. Taurasi tried to put her in her place, but Clark responded by breaking records and changing the league. That's not just answering back, it's rewriting history.
Well, I cannot believe we are fixing to have a talk about this particular player in the WNBA because I thought she was supposed to be gone.
Taurasi's tone has shifted, and what she's saying about Clark now? Unbelievable. Remember when Diana said Caitlin wasn't ready for the big leagues? That statement set the basketball world on fire. In a recent interview, Taurasi's words, they've completely changed.
You look superhuman playing against 18-year-olds, but you're going to come with some grown women that have been playing professional basketball for a long time. But there is going to be a transition period where you're going to have to give yourself some grace as a rookie. And, it might take a little bit longer for some people.
Just like that, it was set. A showdown between the old guard and the new wave of women's basketball. Taurasi's words weren't just casual chatter, they sparked a fire. Within hours, social media was divided, with WNBA legend fans facing off against the college phenom's supporters. You could feel the battle lines being drawn.
We know what she said. We all remember it. There's going to be a transition period. There's going to be a reality check. Yada, yada, yada. All right. Caitlin Clark ultimately got the last laugh over Taurasi. The 23-year-old still made sure to pay respects to one of the league's most decorated players.
What's wild is how fast people picked sides. Some fans backed Taurasi, citing her decades of experience and championships. She's just speaking facts, they said. But Clark's supporters saw something else. Jealousy? Fear of being replaced? The debate exploded on every sports talk show and Twitter thread.
And we know how Taurasi came back, tried to back off her comments after she got the handed to her by Caitlin Clark on multiple occasions.
Veterans questioning rookies isn't new, but Taurasi's public comments hit differently. They added to a growing wave of doubt about Clark's WNBA transition. Analysts voiced skepticism. She won't get those shots against pros. The physicality will be too much. These narratives piled on, creating huge pressure before Clark even played her first game.
Really, Taurasi said some glowing things about Clark after the game. Why did that matter? Because she made the whole reality is coming comments, and she was also and is also maybe the, biggest figure in the history of the sport, certainly in that conversation, right? And when she said the reality is coming thing, that kind of became the mantra to Clark's rookie season.
But have you seen how Clark responded? Instead of firing back, she took the high road. When asked about Taurasi's comments, Clark simply said, "That's somebody I grew up idolizing. No trash talk, no defensiveness, just pure respect." Can you feel the tension building toward their first matchup?
Because we remember what she said to Scott Van Pelt on SportsCenter for ESPN months ago, when she said there's levels to this. It's one thing to go against young girls and stuff like that. You about to go up against grown women. We're going to be waiting for.
Fans circled this game, rookie versus legend. Would Taurasi back up her words, or would Clark prove she belonged? The hype was unreal, but Clark wasn't fazed. She got the best of Taurasi in their first matchup.
Obviously, a lot was made of this matchup between yourself and Diana Taurasi. I know she's one of your idols. How big is it for you to get a win here against her today?
I'm just happy we won. It was cool to play against her, and obviously a really great game. And like you said, this crowd was absolutely incredible.
Did Taurasi underestimate Clark's ability to adapt? It's hard to say otherwise. While Taurasi warned her about reality, Clark was quietly preparing to exceed expectations. Her response? Letting her game do the talking.
Diana Taurasi famously said reality is coming for Caitlin Clark when she gets to the WNBA. But the reality is Taurasi also has a ton of respect for Clark, as she expressed following the Fever's win over the Phoenix Mercury in the first ever career head-to-head matchup.
That quiet preparation was no show. It was the calm before a storm. While others debated if Clark could handle the WNBA's physicality, she was planning something unprecedented. Not just competing with legends like Taurasi, but surpassing them and forcing the entire basketball world to rethink rookie potential.
The best point guard in the WNBA, objectively, Caitlin Clark. In her one professional season in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark came away with an average of 19.2 points, 8.4 assists, and 5.7 rebounds for the season.
From the moment Clark hit the court for the Indiana Fever, she didn't play like a rookie. She played like she owned it. Game after game, her stats had analysts double-checking their numbers. 19.2 points, 8.4 assists, and 5.7 rebounds. She didn't just lead rookies. She led the whole league in assists and three-pointers. This wasn't adapting to the pros. This was redefining rookie potential. All of this happened under a microscope. Every move, every shot picked apart in real time on social media. The pressure would have crushed most, but Clark thrived on it. She used those doubts as fuel, especially when facing the team of her biggest critic.
By the way, Caitlin Clark has made some remarks about Diana Taurasi, and it seems the one player she had the most fun taking to the woodshed, and who could blame her after the there's going to be a reality check. Yeah, you're right. You got swept by the rookie, destroyed, obliterated. Caitlin Clark made some comments, and she has come out and said, basically, crushing Diana Taurasi was her favorite part of last year.
When Clark faced the Phoenix Mercury, she didn't just compete, she dominated. In one game, she dropped 29 points, 10 assists, and 5 rebounds, leading her team to victory. And it wasn't a fluke. The Fever swept the Mercury in their regular season matchups. The rookie, who was supposed to struggle against veterans, was now beating them consistently.
She got a dose of her own medicine real fast, did she not? Talked all that trash, all of that trash. That didn't work out very well for you at all.
Clark wasn't done making statements. In a poetic twist, she broke Taurasi's three-point record, hitting her 122nd to pass the legend who doubted her. If there was ever a I belong here moment, that was it.
And of course, no one has more gravitas in the space than Taurasi. But when Taurasi sort of, deaded all that and embraced Clark, it felt like the moment a lot of the tensions would break down. Of course, that wasn't completely the case, as we've seen. But in that moment, it did feel like, all right, you've made it. You've earned it, right? Like, you've shown it. There's no fronting on your game.
What's most impressive? Clark didn't just shine individually. She transformed the Indiana Fever. A team that had been irrelevant for years made their first playoff appearance since 2016, all with Clark leading the way. She didn't just join a team, she revitalized it, bringing fans back like never before.
A lot of people say that Caitlin Clark moves the needle. That is wrong. She is the needle. She dictates. We all know what she's done on the floor. It's history, right? But off the floor, my goodness.
Clark's impact went beyond her team. For the first time, the WNBA outdrew the NHL in average live viewers during the regular season. The league Taurasi helped build for years was now booming, thanks to the rookie she had once doubted.
And it's very interesting that all of a sudden a player that was supposed to, Diana Taurasi is supposed to retire, right? The old dinosaur is supposed to retire. Well, now you have outlets talking about landing spots for Diana Taurasi. Wait, come again?
The moment everything changed? When Taurasi put her arm around Clark. That wasn't just a gesture. It marked the start of a surprising shift. After weeks of domination, Taurasi's dismissive attitude gave way to respect.
Caitlin Clark being embraced by Diana Taurasi after the Fever beat the Mercury in that game and they played each other was one of the coolest moments of the WNBA season.
You could almost see Taurasi's internal struggle. After 2 decades of dominance, she watched a rookie take the league to new heights. How do you process that? The answer came in a moment no one saw coming.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you go from kindergarten to first grade, there's a learning adjustment. When you go from high school to college, there's a learning adjustment. I don't think I said anything that wasn't factually correct, and like anything, greatness is going to translate, and she's proven that in every level, and I don't see it being any different in the WNBA.
What Caitlin has done in her short career is nothing short of remarkable. Those words, from Diana Taurasi herself, the same player who'd warned Clark about the harsh reality of the pros. Talk about a 180. The basketball world did a double take. Was this the same Taurasi who'd been dismissive months ago? This wasn't just acknowledgement, it was a full endorsement that shook the league.
I feel like I'm getting hammered.
Last season, Caitlin Clark faced cheap shots, constant hacking, and defenders who thought they could muscle their way into shutting her down. Well, guess what? That chapter is officially closed. The Indiana Fever have loaded up with not 1, not 2, but 3 enforcers who won't stand for any of that nonsense anymore.
So the Indiana Fever have got their enforcer. They have got their enforcer for Caitlin Clark. And I'm not gonna lie, when it comes to Caitlin Clark and their enforcer, last year everyone was talking about them needing an enforcer.
Enter Howard, Cunningham, and Bonner, veterans with attitude. If critics think they can bully Clark, they'll have to get past them first.
The closest thing they had was Erica Wheeler. That was the closest thing they had for someone to defend Caitlin Clark was Erica freaking Wheeler. Maybe Tammy, but Caitlin Clark was getting hit a lot. She was getting hit a lot early and they needed their Charles Oakley.
This move isn't just about talent, it's a statement. The Fever aren't here to compete. They're here to dominate. With these new additions, they've built a squad that plays fast, tough, and, most importantly, protects Clark. Her bullies on notice? So how will these 3 transform the Fever into a WNBA powerhouse?
Sometimes you need one of those players on your team. You need one of those enforcers. Every good player, by the way. Every good player, every good team that is a super duper star. Most of the time have enforcer type players.
Picture this. Caitlin Clark, the WNBA's most electrifying rookie, steps onto the court for her debut. Fans are buzzing, expecting a show. Instead, hard fouls, excessive contact, and physicality that seemed aimed at taking her down. What's going on here?
That's all I see. They try so long to get respect for women's basketball, and then they treat it like a junior high school girl's locker room. Junior high school girl antics on the court.
Clark wasn't just a rookie. She was targeted, with 17% of all flagrant fouls last season against her, proving defenders weren't just playing defense, they were trying to take her down.
Now, what little girl wants to grow up and play in a league where you're targeted like that? How do you sit here and profess and demand that everyone take women's sports seriously when you can't even take it seriously enough to not act like a junior high queen on the court? It looks like a soap opera.
And leading the charge? The Chicago Sky. A shocking 80% of those flagrant fouls came from one team. That's no coincidence. It's a statement. They weren't just defending, they were sending a message. Was it intimidation, frustration, or just a desperate attempt to slow a rising star? Whatever the reason, Clark's presence clearly made them uncomfortable.
Clark! Hammer!
Clark drives, Reese floors her. Silence. Was it too much? Commentators wondered, but Clark shook it off and kept playing.
I think we went up really strong a lot of times and we didn't get a lot of calls. And going back and looking at the film, I've seen a lot of calls that weren't made. I guess some people got a special whistle.
That's what makes Clark special. Her composure. After a cheap shot from Kennedy Carter, she simply said, "That's not a basketball play, but gotta play through it." No complaints, no retaliation, just pure mental toughness.
And Clark.
I mean, that's clearly a foul, which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy Carter.
Clark proved she could take the hits, but the Fever knew she needed protection. So they made moves. Big ones. With some serious enforcers now on the roster, no one's bullying Clark anymore. Who are they? And how will they change the Fever's dynamic?
The signing of Natasha Howard represents a massive step forward for the Indiana Fever and their quest for a championship. In Howard, the Fever gain a 3-time WNBA champion, a Defensive Player of the Year, an All-Star, and a veteran with more than 300 games played.
Natasha Howard isn't just an addition, she's the enforcer the Fever needed. From day one, the message was clear. Clark's no longer an easy target. A 3-time champ, former Defensive Player of the Year, Howard's toughness will end the days of Clark getting bullied.
But all of that, and we haven't yet touched upon what Howard does best: defend. Howard was named Defensive Player of the Year in 2019 and has finished in the top 10 of the Defensive Player of the Year voting 3 times in her career. Howard has averaged at least 1 block and 1 steal per game in each of her last 7 seasons. And that versatility is really what makes her a weapon on defense.
Last season, Clark faced nonstop physicality, but now defenders will think twice. Howard alone shifts the power dynamic. She commands respect next to Clark, and with her elite stats, 17.6 points, 6.7 rebounds, and a 3-point threat, she'll create more space for Clark, Mitchell, and Boston.
Last season, with a minimum of 25 games played, Natasha Howard was one of just 13 players to average 18 points per game. She was one of 16 players to average 7 rebounds per game. And the list of players to average both 18 and 7 last year, short and elite: Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Nafisa Collier, Brittany Griner, and yes, Natasha Howard.
Howard's defense is where she truly dominates. A former Defensive Player of the Year, she's a nightmare in the paint.
But that wingspan and 6'2" height allows her to be disruptive defensively around the rim on opposing bigs too. In fact, Howard will enter the 2025 season 25th all-time in blocks in WNBA history.
Howard's ready to elevate Clark in the Fever, bringing her experience and toughness to help them dominate, not just fight back.
Caitlin Clark was getting hit a lot. She was getting hit a lot early, and they needed their Charles Oakley. You've got that in Sophie Cunningham.
Sophie Cunningham is heading to Indiana, making the WNBA even more exciting. If Clark needed someone to keep the bullies in check and hit threes, she's got her.
There are so many videos of Sophie Cunningham just starting brawls.
Some might ask, Cunningham? Wasn't she bringing Clark to Phoenix? Clark had other plans, ensuring Cunningham joined her in Indiana.
Sophie Cunningham, in general, is just wild. Wild is the best word I can use to describe Sophie Cunningham. And, it's carnage. It's carnage a lot of the time when Sophie Cunningham gets involved with anything. The amount of fights that Sophie Cunningham has been involved in is mental.
Cunningham is a perfect fit for Indiana. She's not just tough, she's an elite shooter, hitting 37.8% from deep last season. With Clark running the offense, that number will rise.
If she hits a 3, Maisha Hines-Allen fouls her and then tries to step over. And then Sophie Cunningham grabs her leg. Nobody's going near Maisha Hines-Allen, but no, Sophie Cunningham will start the fight. The refs are trying to break it up. None of the Mercury players are going to go near Maisha Hines-Allen. They're scared. She's scared the bejesus out of them. Maisha Hines-Allen is one of the toughest players in this league. Sophie Cunningham going head-to-head straight with her.
Cunningham brings more than shooting. She's got an edge. She plays through contact, talks trash, and backs it up. Plus, she's a Taekwondo black belt.
Like Sophie Cunningham, there are so many things where it's like, part of it her fault, part of it not her fault, but she will not back down. She will not back down under any circumstances from anything. And that is what the Indiana Fever need. If somebody hits Caitlin Clark, if somebody does what Victoria Vivians did to Caitlin Clark, it's not going to be Caitlin Clark that's getting involved to be teed up. Sophie Cunningham's in there. You take the technical foul. You take it.
Cunningham adds versatility to the Fever's lineup as a wing who can shoot, defend, and provide leadership, averaging 8.4 points, 3.9 rebounds, and 2.0 assists last season.
Like, Sophie Cunningham is guarding the screen here, and she just takes a hard hit. Not like nothing major. So she's down. And then after taking a hard hit, just gets back up and laughs. Gets back up and laughs a bit.
Cunningham thrives in high-pressure moments, bringing toughness, experience, and fearlessness. Whether it's hitting a clutch three, locking down a guard, or stepping up when things get chippy.
She takes the hard hit and goes down, obviously, gets back up and just laughs. Like, that's a legitimate thing where you're like, okay, yeah, this is a person who is just, like, there is a toughness there with Sophie Cunningham. And, like, she's not scared.
Cunningham's presence ensures defenses can't collapse on Clark and Boston, as her perimeter shooting ability forces teams to think twice about doubling Clark, making the Fever's offense even more dangerous.
So, yeah, like, a solid signing for what she does on the floor. But, like, be protecting Caitlin Clark type thing.
The big question is how Cunningham's aggressive style will mesh with Clark's finesse. But one thing's for sure, Indiana just got a lot tougher, and the rest of the WNBA better take notice.
She's just a smart player. You already see what she's done in her rookie season, and I think she gets the ball to people in the right positions to help them be successful, so that's huge. And I'm hoping that I can give her a little bit more leadership and knowledge for her to understand this league a little bit better. And like I said, when playoffs hit, she'll be ready.
DeWanna Bonner isn't just joining the Fever. She's here to reshape their culture and bring championship experience, making it clear Indiana is ready to win now.
Our first game in Indiana, we gotta get a win.
Bonner's addition turns the Fever from an exciting young team into a championship contender, adding elite defense, clutch scoring, and floor spacing alongside Boston, Clark, Mitchell, and Cunningham.
What excites you the most about this team that you're going to be joining?
I mean, they have dynamic pieces in CC and Kelsey Mitchell and AB, Lexi Hall. I mean, they have a great core, so why not just add to that and try to, take us to the next level in the playoffs. They were in first round, and I played against them in the first round, and the way they came back the second game, it just makes you excited to, okay, I want to be a part of that. They didn't lay down and quit. They came back and actually try to beat us really, that next game.
Bonner's not just a skilled player. She's a true leader, elevating Clark, Boston, and Mitchell by studying their game and maximizing their strengths.
Like I said, hopefully I can make her job a little easier and she can make mine a little easier. But I think she's a great person, and we, been kind of connecting here. We had a great workout this morning, and it was fun. She's a fun kid.
Bonner sees something special in Clark's competitive fire and is ready to guide her towards superstardom, using her experience to push Clark to new heights.
Kind of went on this crazy run, and they were the most well-gelled team at that time. They went from the bottom straight, and they just kept trending. And it was like one of those teams you're like, man, you don't want to really see them in the playoffs. So we got the matchup, and I think our experience helped us very well. But that second game, they came out, and it was like, they just kind of went on this trajectory that was just like on the rise, and it was literally Fever on the rise during right after All-Star. So that's exciting. That's exciting for me to see, and that kind of helped me with my decision.
Last season, the Fever lacked experience, but Bonner brings postseason know-how, leadership, and the ability to close games, all while elevating Clark to new heights.
That experience to a young, maturing team, what can you provide?
I'm hoping that I can provide a little bit of leadership, but I feel like they're a team that last year helped them a lot and understand the dynamics of playoffs. It's a whole different ball game when playoffs come, and I feel like they're a young team, but they're a good team, and hopefully I can just provide the knowledge and explain playoffs to them a little bit better so we can be better prepared and don't get punched in the face the first game. And it's hard to come back when you do that the first game. It's hard to come back and try to win 2 straight against a veteran team. So I think they got it.
What does Bonner's arrival mean for Indiana? Everything. Her playoff experience and championship mindset are the missing pieces for a team on the rise. This isn't just a veteran signing. It's a statement that the Fever are done waiting. The future is now. With Bonner, Clark, Boston, and Mitchell, this team isn't just fun to watch, it's a contender. Are you ready for the Indiana Fever show? It's coming fast.
Unearned fame and fortune are far more destructive than they might appear. And right now, there's no organization on the planet that proves this point more than the WNBA. The league just posted its highest average game viewership in 24 years. They're bringing in massive new sponsorships, at least by the league standard. They're selling out arenas, which used to be unheard of for the WNBA.
Have you ever wondered why a star like Caitlin Clark is encountering criticism in the WNBA? It's not what you might expect. The league's audience numbers soared, player benefits got better, and women's basketball gained significant attention. However, suddenly, unexpected allegations began to emerge from seasoned WNBA players.
From the executives to the players to the reporters who, for their sins in a past life, have been cursed with the job of covering a women's basketball league, everyone should be overjoyed. But there's a big problem. All of this success, every bit of it, is due to the presence of one player in the league, and that is a generational talent named Caitlin Clark, who of course you've heard of. And still probably the only WNBA player whose name you know.
Matt Walsh isn't buying it. He's calling out the double standards, and trust me, he has the proof. He's armed with the data, the statistics, and he's not afraid to name names. Stay tuned as we uncover the explosive truth behind the WNBA's biggest controversy to date. You won't believe what some players are revealing behind the scenes. Ready? Let's dive in. Imagine this. Caitlin Clark steps onto the court, and the WNBA undergoes a complete transformation overnight. She's not just making an impact, she's changing the game.
She's the reason the WNBA just won the lottery. Without Caitlin Clark, nobody cares about any of these players or the league. With her, most people still don't care, but a lot more people care than did before. And everybody knows that, right? Therefore, everyone in the league other than Caitlin Clark is doing exactly what so many lottery winners do. They're allowing all of their worst personality traits to surface because they just can't help themselves.
The WNBA is undergoing an unprecedented boom. Viewership has soared to record-breaking heights, leaving executives in awe. Stadiums are packed to capacity, generating an electric energy that was once unimaginable in the WNBA. It's as if someone hit a power switch, and suddenly women's basketball has become the hottest ticket in town.
You know, there are a lot of stories out there about lottery winners who go on to destroy their lives. Something like 70% of them supposedly go bankrupt within a few years. It's not hard to see how that would happen. When you give a lot of money and attention to a person who didn't earn any of it, that person doesn't suddenly change overnight. Instead, more often than not, all of their worst character traits are amplified 10 times over, and in many cases, that leads to a very public and humiliating collapse. This is a principle that doesn't just apply to individuals, it turns out. It applies to organizations, too.
This surge in popularity is bringing in significant investments. Sponsorships and major deals are flooding in like never before. It's as though the floodgates have opened, and everyone wants a slice of the WNBA action. Players are enjoying enhanced benefits, and the league is attracting attention from unexpected sources with a surge of new fans. But here's the kicker. Not everyone is celebrating. Some players are voicing their frustrations. Can you believe it? Amidst all this success, underlying discontent is starting to surface.
There's been a lot of resentment in this league lately, in particular since the season began. And the thing about resentment, as we all know, is that it tends to fester over time. It gets worse and worse. That's exactly what we're seeing now.
It's truly perplexing. On one side, the league is finally gaining the recognition it has been yearning for. On the other, some players seem discontent with the very achievements they've been striving toward. Why? That's the million-dollar question. Are they envious of Clark's sudden rise to stardom? Concerned about what this means for their own careers? Or is there something more beneath the surface?
Race hysteria in the WNBA has somehow reached yet another inflection point. The league is currently in the midst of what really might be the single most contrived racism scandal, certainly in any professional sport, at least since the fake noose in Bubba Wallace's garage. Specifically, a bunch of WNBA players have come out claiming that they've been victimized by racial slurs and other forms of racist attacks. Like, a lot of players are claiming this.
Imagine this. The the WNBA is soaring on an unprecedented wave of popularity, and then a bombshell hits that shakes the league to its very foundation. We're discussing explosive accusations of racism that threaten to dismantle women's basketball. It's like striking a match in a room filled with gasoline.
How do you feel about what has happened over the past year with the W since you first came in to where it is now? And obviously the game has grown and there's new fans, but how do you appreciate the new fans without all the noise that's coming with them?
I appreciate the new fans that sit there and yell racial slurs at myself, my teammates, and the people that I play against, because yeah, those might be opponents, but those are friends too. You know, they don't deserve that. So I don't appreciate the new fans. I think it's okay to do that.
Brittany Griner, one of the league's biggest stars, steps forward with a startling allegation. She claims that new fans are hurling slurs during games. Can you believe it?
The question that Brittany Griner was asked was about the massive growth of this league, which was dead in the water just a year ago and had been dead for its entire existence. And the reporter asked, what do you think of all the new fans? And like in any other context, when someone says, what do you think of all the new fans that are coming in? Usually it's, oh, it's great. We love how everybody is supporting the league and we're so grateful. None of that. Instead of some gratitude, some appreciation for the people who have saved the WNBA, who pay to come out to see bad players like Brittany Griner, instead of that, we get resentment.
Now for the details. None of these racial slurs have been confirmed, even though some are alleged to have happened during games. As far as I know, none of them have been captured on camera. Interesting. There's no visual or audio proof to back any of these claims. Not a single trustworthy report either. That's highly unusual, especially considering there are cameras and smartphones at every WNBA game. Walsh isn't holding back. He's stating it exactly as he sees it, asserting that these accusations are completely fabricated. It's a daring claim, but it's making people take notice. But let's slow down for a moment. Why would players fabricate something so serious? That's the million-dollar question sparking intense debates among fans and critics alike. Are they trying to create drama? Is there something else happening behind the scenes? If there were, the videos would be all over the internet, but they're nowhere to be found. They don't exist online. So instead, we're left having to rely on the players' statements. The entire situation is causing turmoil within the league. On one side, you have players feeling wronged and calling for action. On the other, there are skeptics like Walsh demanding solid evidence before making any judgments. And in the middle of it all, the fans, the sponsors, and the future of the WNBA itself.
Hey guys, it's Sophie Cunningham here. I'm finally in Indiana and I am so excited to be here and meet all of you. See you guys at the game. Bye.
Those aren't the words of someone who doesn't want to play for the Indiana Fever. No, those are the words of Sophie Cunningham, the WNBA enforcer, who just landed in Indiana and is ready to shake things up for Caitlin Clark and the squad.
Finally here! Got it! All right.
While Cheryl Swoops said nobody wants to play in Indiana, Sophie Cunningham was lighting up the internet with excitement about joining the Fever. In this video, we'll break down Sophie's thoughts on Caitlin Clark, her first day with the team, and how she's shutting down the haters.
Oh gosh, this is the first time I've seen my jersey. Oh, I love this. It's like I'm a rookie all over again.
What if I told you that while Cheryl Swoops was running her mouth about nobody wanting to play for Indiana, Sophie Cunningham was poolside in Phoenix when she got the trade call? And her reaction? Not disappointment, not hesitation, just pure excitement.
Where were you when you found out about this, and what was kind of that general reaction to a fresh start here?
Yeah, you guys will learn that if I'm not in the gym, I'm normally by the pool. And so I was actually poolside when I found out. And, there's a lot of emotions just because I have been out there for so long. But to be honest, my original thought was like, oh, heck yeah. Like, we're about to go win a championship. Like, that's exactly where my mind went. And like I said, it's all about the people. It's about the culture. I learned a lot out there, but now I'm ready to move on to something bigger, something better, and have a lot of really great players around me to, you know, seriously go win a championship.
That's right. The idea that top players don't want to join the Fever just got completely shattered. While the haters were busy cooking up their next criticism, Sophie was already gearing up for a championship run in Indiana. Talk about shutting down all that negativity.
Yeah, you know, I'm stoked. I'm so excited. I think it's refreshing. I've been in Phoenix for the past 6 years, was drafted out there. I've had a really great time. I've been very blessed with being around a lot of GOATs in the game and learning the game on another level. But again, like, this is just a new style, and this is the style that I thrive in. When you have people who can shoot the ball, who move the ball, who are running gunners, and share the ball, like, this is the type of offense that I want to be in.
When Sophie finally stepped into Gainbridge Fieldhouse, her excitement was absolutely contagious. The Fever's social media captured her pure joy as she took in her new basketball home. In one video that quickly went viral, Sophie introduced herself with all-out enthusiasm.
I'm just stoked, and like I said, the offense is more my style, but I'm also surrounded by a great culture and great people, and that's what I'm also very excited about, to be here in Indiana.
But there's something even deeper about this move for Sophie. As a Missouri native, returning to the Midwest feels like coming home. "I love it," she said during her intro to the Indiana media. "My roots are here in the Midwest, and just being closer to home." This wasn't just a trade, it was a return to her heartland.
How impactful will it be for you and your family to be back here in the Midwest, something that Caitlin had as well, and within driving distance for everyone, right?
I love it. You know, my roots are here in the Midwest, and just to be closer to home. My sister is married and has a kid, has another one on the way, and family is everything to me. I have a really great support system, and you better believe I've already had over 100, 200 people reach out, "Hey, how do we get season tickets?" I was like, I have no idea. I just got traded 2 hours ago. So I think we're going to have a pretty cool fan base up here from Missouri. But again, it's my Midwest roots. I'm excited to be around Midwesterners again. It's my type of people, and so I'm happy to be here.
What makes Sophie's arrival even more impactful is how it's already shaping team chemistry. In a league where some stars bring egos bigger than their talent, Sophie wasted no time stressing the importance of a selfless culture.
I'm just excited, but to be honest, I think when you have a group that can let go of the egos and you're really just here to win and work hard, I think that's the best type of group, and you're all willing to do the dirty work, and I think that's what I'm most excited about. That's my bread and butter right there, is outwork your opponents and have fun doing it.
Fans flooded social media with excitement, showing overwhelming support for seeing her in action. The connection was immediate. No adjustment period needed. Sophie didn't just join the team, she fully embraced it from day one.
Now that I've been here, and I have been paying a lot more attention to it, and it's crazy, right? Like, it's a whirlwind, and there's an adjustment period, not only for her, but for her teammates around her, for Indiana as a whole. But you know, I think it's all really good things, and so it takes a little bit to get adjusted to it. But after that, I mean, come on, it's part of something great that doesn't come around very often, and so if you're not paying attention, I don't know what you're doing.
This is exactly the type of addition the Fever needed. Someone who truly wants to be there, believes in the vision, and brings both skill and energy to the locker room. While critics like Swoops cling to outdated narratives, players like Sophie are backing it up with their actions, proving that Indiana has become a destination franchise in the WNBA.
I know you said earlier this month that you'd be the Sabrina Carpenter to Caitlin's Taylor Swift. Just
that was a joke, but I guess people really took that seriously.
People love it. What excites you about playing with her this year?
I mean, you know, she has changed our game in the best possible way in every way. And so just to be alongside of her and maybe relieve the pressure, being able to shoot and spread the court for her to go do her thing.
Remember all those times last season when opponents treated Caitlin Clark like a punching bag? The cheap shots, the hard screens, the unnecessary contact after whistles? Well, the Fever just added the one thing Clark desperately needed but didn't have. A true enforcer ready to make opponents think twice.
She's still young, and I think that I've been taken under, Diana took me under her wing, and I've learned a lot from her. And now I hope to kind of do the same for Caitlin if she wants it. I just think the relationship piece is huge. And when you're trying to do something great, it takes everybody. And so I want her to go do her thing, and anything she needs from me, I'm going to be here. But again, I think that like just the competitor that I am, I'm fierce, I'm sassy. I stick up for my teammates, stick up for myself. And so sometimes I think that's okay to be feisty and to be yourself.
Sophie Cunningham isn't just bringing her game to Indiana. She's bringing her reputation as one of the WNBA's fiercest competitors, the kind of player that makes opponents think twice before crossing her. In her introductory press conference, Sophie made it clear, "I'm fierce, I'm sassy, I stick up for my teammates, I stick up for myself." And those 5 words about sticking up for her teammates, they might be the most important thing Caitlin Clark's heard all offseason.
I'm excited to play in front of the fans. I think that she's drawn a lot of people, not only to Indiana, but to the women's game as a whole. And so just to be a part of something great, just really happy to be here.
Let's be real. Last season was tough for the rookie superstar. We all saw Caitlin Clark get knocked around, bumped, and targeted game after game with little to no repercussions. The physicality kept ramping up, and it felt like her teammates were either too slow or unwilling to step in and send a message. It was like watching a boxing match where only one fighter had someone in their corner.
Caitlin Clark was getting hit a lot. She was getting hit a lot early, and they needed their Charles Oakley. You've got that in Sophie Cunningham.
This is where Sophie Cunningham steps up. Throughout her career in Phoenix, Sophie became known as the ultimate teammate protector. When opponents targeted Mercury stars, they knew they'd have to answer to her. Now, she's made it clear that same protection is coming to Caitlin Clark and the rest of the Fever roster.
There are so many videos of Sophie Cunningham just starting brawls.
Sophie isn't just about getting physical, she's all in when it comes to doing the dirty work. Whether finishing through contact or creating space, she thrives in those moments. This toughness fills a major gap the Fever had last season, especially when the game got physical.
If she hits a 3, Maisha Hines-Allen fouls her and then tries to step over, and then Sophie Cunningham grabs her leg. Nobody's going near Maisha Hines-Allen, but no, Sophie Cunningham will start the fight. The refs are trying to break it up. None of the Mercury players are going to go near Maisha Hines-Allen. They're scared. She's scared of bejesus out of them. Maisha Hines-Allen is one of the toughest players in this league. Sophie Cunningham going head to head straight with her.
When you're trying to do something great, it takes everybody. I want her to do her thing. Anything she needs from me, I'm going to be here, Sophie declared, setting the tone for what her role in Indiana will be. With those words, she made it crystal clear that protecting Caitlin Clark isn't just an afterthought. It's a core part of her mission. Sophie's ability to take on the physical grind, absorb the hits, and finish plays through defenders will be the shield Clark desperately needs. No longer will Clark have to worry about the constant hits. With Sophie in the mix, she'll be free to shine without looking over her shoulder. The enforcer has arrived, and she's got Clark's back every step of the way.
The media, all they talk about is Caitlin. Caitlin could throw somebody a bounce pass. Oh my God, she threw it, it's all about Caitlin.
Remember all the girls that were just all talking shit about her from the beginning? This was a tune change because that's how they roll. That WNBA is woke as shit. The NBA is woke as shit. And they had to tell her, you better change your thing or we're not going to get behind you 100%. And she did. She bowed down, and that's exactly what happened.
Caitlin Clark was honored as Time's Athlete of the Year, a significant recognition for such a rising talent. However, her achievement has been eclipsed by the uproar over her remarks in the accompanying interview. In the discussion, Clark mentioned, "I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is a privilege, and a lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them." These comments have ignited passionate debates. Some commend her for bringing attention to racial disparities, a persistent issue in both sports and society. Others have taken issue, alleging that she has succumbed to societal pressures and compromised her true self. As supporters and critics clash over her statements, the pressing question emerges: what does this mean for Caitlin Clark's future and her bond with her fan base? Stay tuned as we examine reactions from influential voices in the media, starting with Candace Owens, who unexpectedly supports Clark while addressing the larger controversy.
She's 22 years old. I don't know a single commentator out there, Megyn Kelly included, who did not at some point throughout their political career have the wrong perspectives. But for whatever reason, we've decided Caitlyn's not allowed that time to grow. She's not allowed time to change. She's got to be a perfect MAGA candidate and I guess stand up to the entire mob. This girl's literally being bullied, physically bullied, I will say, by the way, on the court. And we know the basis of that is quite racist. I think she just wants to survive. I think genuinely Caitlyn just wants to survive.
It's impressive to reflect on the accomplishments Caitlin Clark has achieved at such a young age. Her swift rise to prominence can make her youth easy to overlook, but it's crucial to offer her understanding as she maneuvers through this intense spotlight and becomes entangled in cultural debates. Next, we highlight a statement from David Portnoy, the founder of Barstool Sports and a prominent social media influencer. Unlike many commentators involved in the Caitlin Clark controversy, Portnoy is a genuine sports enthusiast. He shared his honest opinions in an informal rant posted on his Instagram and Twitter, providing his perspective on both Clark's remarks and the public's reaction to them.
Caitlin Clark's popularity has absolutely nothing to do with the color of her skin. Anybody who has actually watched women's basketball or watched basketball and watched Caitlin knows she plays totally different than any woman before her.
Portnoy disputes the claim that Caitlin Clark's achievements are solely the result of white privilege, highlighting the indisputable truth that her remarkable basketball talent set her apart. Her extraordinary level of play is the genuine reason she is hailed as the leading figure in women's basketball today, potentially the greatest in the sport's entire history. Portnoy also addresses the problem of commentators engaging in the debate without being true basketball enthusiasts. He emphasizes how voices from all sides of the cultural conflict are capitalizing on Caitlin Clark's fame, using her as a symbol for agendas she doesn't actually support. This misrepresentation has caused her words and character to be distorted by those eager to shape the narrative to fit their own perspectives.
All the people who are like co-opting this, who aren't real basketball fans, who aren't real Caitlin Clark fans, are like, oh, the woke mob got to her. She's now saying her success is because of the skin and she has privilege. First of all, she didn't say she had that. She said she earned everything she got. But what do you want Caitlin Clark to do?
Portnoy further elaborates on his viewpoint, indicating that the circumstances surrounding Caitlin Clark's remarks significantly influence her decision to address such issues. He contends that her statements are more of a deliberate tactic to navigate the complexities of her WNBA career rather than a sincere political position. According to Portnoy, Caitlin's main objective is to steer clear of divisive debates, choosing instead to avoid controversy and focus on her performance on the court.
She plays in a league that is predominantly African American, and she wants to maybe show up at work and not have people hate her. She wants the league to be successful. The more successful, more stars, the better it is for her and everybody in the league. This backlash of Caitlin turned on the league and Caitlin is woke and Caitlin is this. You fuckers are crazy. And that's what I hate. This, for Caitlin, has never been about politics, never been about race.
The controversy surrounding Caitlin Clark may be increasing her visibility and online presence, but it's evident that she prefers to steer clear of the limelight it brings. Naturally humble, Clark has never sought to become a political icon. Her unwavering dedication has always been to basketball. It's her passion, her strength, and the reason she earned the title of Time's Athlete of the Year. Although the debates and discussions surrounding her have certainly amplified her fame, perhaps it's time to let her shine in her true element, performing basketball at an exceptional level. This sentiment was echoed by the legendary sportscaster Dan Patrick, who encouraged everyone to simply admire greatness when it's right before us, as it is with Caitlin Clark. With decades of experience in sports, Patrick recognizes how rare and transient moments of brilliance can be. He highlights just how unique and generational Clark's talent is, urging us to appreciate her presence in the game instead of criticizing her.
Can't we just acknowledge Caitlin Clark changed the WNBA? That's it. It's okay. You want to throw in Angel Reese. You want to throw the memory of Cheryl Miller or Cynthia Cooper. Like, it's a win. We got to... This is a unique moment. Caitlin Clark did for the WNBA what Wayne Gretzky did for the NHL when he went to the LA Kings.
There's no need to politicize every action a public figure takes. Sometimes, we should pause to appreciate the qualities that made them outstanding from the start. Acknowledging Caitlin Clark for her exceptional athletic prowess doesn't detract from other athletes. Dan Patrick highlights this idea, encouraging us to honor greatness for what it truly represents.
It's okay. Take a victory lap. You don't have to go, oh my God, these people are mad, or this person's mad, or this group is mad. Caitlin Clark changed the WNBA. It's okay. It's okay to say that. You're not diminishing what the founding, fathers of the WNBA did. You're not. She's the Time Person of the Year.
In summary, Caitlin Clark's remarkable achievements at a young age have firmly established her as a standout star in women's basketball, culminating in her recognition as Time's Athlete of the Year. However, her success has not been without controversy, particularly regarding her comments on privilege and race, which have ignited a heated debate among fans and critics alike. David Portnoy has emerged as a key voice in her defense, emphasizing that Clark's extraordinary talent is the true foundation of her acclaim and criticizing those who exploit her fame for ulterior motives. Meanwhile, legendary sportscaster Dan Patrick echoes the sentiment that Clark should be celebrated for her unparalleled basketball skills, rather than being entangled in political discourse. As the discussions continue, the overarching message remains clear. Caitlin Clark deserves to be appreciated for her exceptional abilities on the court, allowing her to shine without the burden of unnecessary politicization. Moving forward, it is essential to honor her contributions to the sport and support her journey, recognizing that her brilliance is what truly makes her a deserving Athlete of the Year. Caitlin Clark recently shared some footage of her training in Europe, and it's everything we've been looking for. This serves as the ultimate evidence of how a truly respectable league treats its star players.
No matter how the cachet of the WNBA elevates, remember, it could have been even better. You messed it up. You messed it up.
You can truly see the joy on Clark's face. She looks free, incredibly happy, and completely unbothered. Those days of putting up with cheap shots, dirty hits, and all that nonsense are behind her. There's no one poking her in the eye or hip-checking her into the stands.
So now give me the reasons why. She's gone.
And here's the best part. There's no racial tension or scheming against the league's top talent in Europe. The players focus on their game, and Clark can finally concentrate on what she does best, dominating on the court. The contrast is clear, and it's no surprise she's thriving in a league that truly knows how to honor greatness.
I have honestly never seen a company fumble the bag so hard like the WNBA fumbled Caitlin Clark.
She's playing as if she's finally free from all the nonsense, free from cheap shots, and definitely free from the relentless negativity she faced in the WNBA. It feels like a completely new Caitlin Clark, and she's clearly enjoying every moment. She's smiling, sinking threes like they're layups, and making no-look passes as if it's just another day in the park.
I think it's a good number. Threes were a little bit, I wouldn't say lower. I'll still take 63, but I want to be more so around 70 if I can. Yeah. 81 mid-range is really, really good.
There's no fear, no hesitation, and no worrying about getting smacked in the face or having someone try to take her out. In Europe, they truly appreciate talent. They love and celebrate her. She's not dodging elbows or dealing with dirty looks anymore. Finally, she's being treated like the superstar she is. It's as if she's escaped a nightmare and landed in a place where basketball is celebrated.
And it sucks that so much of it was riddled with so much drama and so much negativity and so many mishaps.
You know who's really losing it? The WNBA. That's right, the league that thought they could just sit back and let Caitlin Clark get poked in the eye, body checked and disrespected day after day. Now they're complaining about losing their star, but let's be honest, it's their own fault. They made it unbearable for her. How many times did we watch Clark take a cheap shot while the referees stood by without taking action? And what did the WNBA do about it? Nothing. They allowed it to happen repeatedly.
Like we talked about in our locker room after the game ended, where obviously people were pretty disappointed in the outcome.
Here's the thing. In Europe, they don't have that kind of drama. No Chennedy Carter blindsiding her, no DeJohnai Carrington going for her eye. No one is trying to take her down just because she's different. She's not facing players who resent her simply because she's a straight white girl excelling in their league. Over there, it's all about basketball. It's pure, it's clean, and it's a genuine league that respects the game, honors talent, and of course, treats Clark like the superstar she is.